when I was little, I always want to, do something like I want to have my own company. But then I feel like
Mm.
I don't have much talent, I couldn't run a coffee shop. Like I don't know even how to make food. I couldn't run a restaurant because you know how bad I cook, right? So no. So what should I do? Maybe I can do teaching. It's just like a maybe.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, let's just do it.
Jesse,
Maybe.
thank you
Mhm.
for taking the time to sit down with me.
Of course.
Um,
Mhm.
can you, yeah, to start, can you just provide an overview of what you do?
Of course, I'm the founder of Manhattan Elite. It is an education company located in Hong Kong, and I've been doing this for 5 years.
Mm. So Manhattan Elite, it's
Yeah,
a teaching program.
right.
Um, how you've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. How what's the day to day like running the company? And maybe
Oh,
how
that's a
has that
that's a good
changed?
question. That's a really good question. So, if you ask me today, I have so much to share with you because nowadays, as we all know, the pandemics affect us a lot. But
Mm,
somehow I can see it as an opportunity because it really affects how I run my business. If you asked me this question 5 years ago, my answer would be completely different. Because right now
mm,
I'm trying to expand the online teaching platform, which I haven't thought about it years ago. And this is not just a trend, like this is also a must right now. Because some reason, some of my students, they travel, they live in mainland China when they finish school because now there's summer holiday. And if they just have the option to come to the center, having face-to-face learning, it's not enough because they want to stay in there having their fun time, but also receiving education. So I do think that online learning platform will be the future and will be my focus.
and just to be clear, so Manhattan Project, it's
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Manhattan Elite. I just watched
Mm-hmm.
Oppenheimer. I don't know why.
No
Manhattan
problem.
Project.
Yeah, it can be
So
our project.
yeah, so
Yeah,
it's an education house that has
yeah,
both a brick and mortar component and an online
yes.
platform.
Mm-hmm.
How many teachers do you employ and how many kids do you have?
So right now we have mathematics program and Steven. Steven is
Mm,
our lead teacher, and for Chinese teacher we have Benny and also Sasha. And English
mm,
right now is just me and another assistant.
mm, mm.
And students,
And
we have more students coming from mainland China right now because before that we had more students for the local students from Hong Kong. But I can see I like the diversity. I like the diversity
yeah,
of it.
you said that 5 years ago your answer would have
Hmm.
been completely different in terms
Yeah,
of the day to day
yeah.
running of the company. How
Hmm.
was it when you first started?
So when I first started, well, I'm very ambitious. So I was thinking like maybe I would have a center, a few centers in Hong Kong, let's
Mm,
say in new territories or in the central business district area. Like I was
mm,
thinking like having brick and mortar store instead of
mm,
like online platforms. And maybe
mm,
in other places, because I have other friends from other countries, maybe in Canada, maybe in the States, running another center, but haven't thought about the online platform. But now I feel like, with even even when my students have Wi-Fi or internet network, they can learn everywhere. It shouldn't be located. I mean, limited by the location.
mm.
Yeah. So the
Where do you
answer
think
would be
this
so
on?
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think this entrepreneurial drive came from? I mean, you've always
Oh,
struck me
oh,
as
uh,
really
yeah.
motivated, and where do you think you got it?
I think I got it from my parents because
Mm,
my parents, like my father, he is also a business owner, like a small business. I learned a lot of maybe like intangible things, like how hard they work, and also you cannot think about you you cannot just think about money, right? Being an
mm,
entrepreneur means like you have to take risk, even though like
mm,
small risk. Even if you ask me, oh Jesse, will your platform be successful? I cannot say like 100% because there's nothing as 100%, right? And I learned it from my parents and my mom. She's so hardworking. Like
mm.
she feel bad when she has day off. I told her like she need to take some rest, but while she has day off in well one day at Chinese New Year, that's it. But
Wow,
of
one
course
day a
I'm
year.
yeah. Of course, I'm not
Yeah.
encouraging like other people to do it, but like what I'm trying to say is that we have to work smart and also work hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How, I mean, do you think that you have, I mean, you fly back to China tomorrow.
Yeah, can't believe it. Yeah, but
How,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. How long have you been in the US now?
Well, well, I think more than a decade. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
Like a decade.
yeah.
Time changed a lot. And I feel like, I have grown a lot as a person because I like to live
Mm,
in different places. Like if I just
mm,
live in Hong Kong, I feel like my growth would be limited. Not just
mm,
like my business, but also my personal growth. The
mm,
way I think and also the ideas I come from, usually from other places, usually from New York. Actually, who doesn't like New York, right? So yeah, I got a lot of
mm.
ideas when I walk in the street, when I talk with other like strangers on the bus, or making new friends from other places. It's just how me grow personally.
Yeah, I mean, New York definitely attracts the sort of entrepreneurial,
Definitely.
yeah, entrepreneurially minded people.
Mm-hmm.
In what ways did did Hong Kong feel like? I mean, you said that Hong Kong, sort of stymied or stifled some of
Mm-hmm.
your potential for growth.
Yeah.
In what ways?
I mean, like in terms of creativity,
Mm,
right? If we just, let's say, if we just stay in office, working from nine
mm,
to five, just in one place location, maybe we have meeting on the, like in a room, but then when people ask, oh, can you share your new ideas? Then your ideas will be like, I couldn't think any of ideas. But if you ask me to travel or work or live in other places, maybe the ideas will just pop up in my mind.
yeah,
So that's the difference. That's my
yeah.
that's my preference at least.
If you could go back in time 5 years and give yourself advice when you were just starting the company, what would you say?
Be patient. Like I
Mm,
always remind myself, like be patient, because when I was little, or even right now, I couldn't say, oh, I'm very patient. This is something I have to learn. Because when
mm,
I do something, I want to finish like, oh, maybe in a minute or in a day. So that can be a good thing and bad thing. But always, when I have to give myself some advice, this is like, the must. I have to be patient. Sometimes we just have to wait and do more work, but shouldn't just rush things. Be patient.
don't rush
Don't rush
headlong
things.
into things.
Yeah, because sometimes things
Yeah.
cannot are out of your control, and you shouldn't just, or I shouldn't just rush things. So I
Mm,
I still have a lot to learn from that.
mm.
Hmm.
Where would you like to see the business be in another 5 years?
I would like to see my students, they grow not just academically, but
Mm,
also like being successful in their own way and also be happy. Like for me to running an education company, not just think about, of course, like financial outcomes are important, but this shouldn't just be the only thing. And I plan to see like more students will be successful, and then they may join my team in the future. Maybe 5 years, I
mm,
have more people to join my team, and
yeah.
they're all my students. That's my dream actually, because I know them, their personality, and I feel so satisfied, and because I teach them, and our team will be just bigger and stronger. Yeah.
Two questions. One, what's the
Mm.
age range of the kids that you
Mm-hmm.
teach?
Yeah.
And second, um, do you have a preference over sort of business administration or teaching? Are they different? Do you
Okay.
like one
Okay.
more than the other?
That's a really good question. Let's answer the first question. Our centers mainly, the main group will be high school students, like those who will take the public exam. Yeah, that would
Hmm.
be our focus.
And
And
sorry,
the
the
sec
public exam. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
that
yeah.
is
So
in
for
China?
students in because in mainland China they have two different systems, but now they can choose to take the ESE as well. So
Mm,
basically, for students who study in Hong Kong, no matter they are local or they are from mainland China, they can also choose to take, some of them from mainland China can choose to take what we call the ESE exam. It's an exam to enter into universities. It's very competitive. Students feel very stressed, and I try to
mm,
help them achieve what they want.
mm,
So that's our main group. And the second question, you mentioned about the administrative work and teaching work, and which one do I prefer, right? I like both, and it's hard to say they cannot be separated because I like to receive the market information, from the
Mm,
parents. This is how I
mm,
how I planned my business. So because for those parents, I can truly feel what they really want, and it's a really important step for me to make my business strategy or what they or adjust it. So I cannot just do administrative work without teaching or without talking with the parents. So they are inseparable. And I like all
I
of them.
imagine,
I both work. Yeah.
yeah, I imagine that talking with parents
Mm-hmm.
of students during this really crucial period, high school students especially, right
Mm-hmm.
before they take this exam,
Yeah.
they could be pretty stressful, right? They're trying to gear their kids up.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you
I
learned
sometimes I have to bear
anything?
the stress too. Yeah. Yeah.
have you have you learned any tips or tricks in terms of communicating with people?
Oh, definitely,
Uh,
definitely. I
yeah.
feel like communication, if you ask me like one of the most important thing when it comes to running business, communication, no matter what industry you're in,
Mm,
like, you know, art or business or real estate or even education, communication is key because you need to talk with parents. You need to communicate clearly with or share ideas clearly with your students. So this is important. And they don't want to be bored. They don't want to feel, I
mm,
don't want my lesson to be boring.
yeah.
So when I talk, I have to be really energetic and, to try to grab their attention. And this is really important and challenging
Are
sometimes. Yeah.
Sure. Are
Hmm.
Chinese students more motivated than American students, you think?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
generally speaking, not trying to be
sure.
very subjective. Generally speaking, I do think students from China, they are very hardworking. And
Mm,
of course, not all of them, but if I have to compare, because, Americans, of course, they are so talented, but they focus or they emphasize freedom more or having fun more you know and for
yeah.
Chinese students, and also maybe the culture also affects the
Mm.
growth as well, and but if you ask me like who are more hardworking, I would say, generally definitely Chinese students. Yeah.
Is there any aspect of Chinese culture that you think Americans just don't understand or get wrong in a major
Hmm.
way? Is there anything that stands out like that?
I would say maybe Chinese students, they tend to be more, I feel like they can accept, like, how to say, like me giving orders to them.
Mm.
Yeah, if I say, oh, you guys have to hand in the homework before Tuesday, and they will hand in like Monday. Yeah, so they are
Yeah.
okay with that. But because I have also teach some American students too, they tend to, oh, sorry, Jesse, I forgot, and I'm traveling, it's a bit complicated, can I do
Yeah, more
it, next
excuses.
week? Yeah, my excuses. But
Yeah.
they are smart too. But they will be much better if they can sometimes follow, the order sometimes.
You
Yeah.
said that you think part of that is just instantiated culturally. Can you
Mm-hmm.
pinpoint what exactly about Chinese culture makes
Mm-hmm.
students more hardworking, more receptive to being told what to do and just following through with
Mm-hmm.
it?
Usually, because let's take me as an example. Because when I was little, I always listened to my parents' words. This is
Mm,
like me showing respect to them. This is like me trying to fulfill their expectation that time. So it's
mm,
like a habit for me. I don't hate it. Of course, I don't like it. I just get used to that idea, and
mm,
because I have this kind of value, and my teachers also in Hong Kong, they have similar values. So I get used to that concept. At the same time, I also don't like to be controlled. I'm like in between.
mm,
I also like freedom, and that's
mm,
why I try to make my center, the value is like in between. Like I don't want to be too strict to them, and also at the same time,
mm,
I don't want to be like, oh, you guys can do whatever you want. Then my class will be in chaos. So I try
mm,
to make it like in between. I want to see the result. I want to see you guys happy, and then this is like uh the task for me to do it, or the
mm.
value that I try to create.
What subjects do you teach?
I teach English mainly. I used to
English. Yeah.
teach music, but then I
Mm,
have more work to do, like you mentioned,
yeah.
administrative work, talking with parents, and I try to delegate the task to my call this. It's also hard because, when I first started my business, I try to do everything myself. Like I try to I clean, I teach, I do marketing work, talk with parents, don't trust anybody. I feel like if I have more employees, they will not do the job. This is just my problem. Like my mind is
Sure.
overthinking too much. This is like not good. And I feel like time I empower other people, I treat them as equals. They are so good on it. And I feel like, it's definitely worth it. Like something you just have to let other people do your work.
Yeah, you hear a lot that business founders, one of the hardest
Mm-hmm.
things for them is to learn to let go and to delegate things
So hard, trust me. Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it will get
Um,
easier. I mean, for me, I feel much easier when I, hire a person right now. But before it's hard because I have, should I trust them? Are they okay?
mm,
Can they achieve what I want? Or can they do the task, in a good way or efficient way? But then at the same time, I feel like, if I want to grow my business or empower myself or the company, I need to have a stronger team. I cannot do everything myself.
mm.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs?
I would say definitely don't wait. Don't wait. If
Mm,
sometimes you just have to make the even a small step, but definitely the first step, and start from there. You can adjust, or you can just figure out. Or even if you fail, then do it again. I failed so many times. I failed. Sometimes uh, in 2017, I tried to launch the kindergarten program. It failed completely. That's not
sorry,
my
what
the
program?
like the kindergarten, like the younger
Oh,
kids.
kindergarten. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, kindergarten. So
yeah,
I failed. But I just adjust my business. Okay, maybe I should teach students more, maybe older or high school students. So I adjust the program completely, you know, and have no regret. I just, change the plan. But sometimes if I
mm,
don't do it, I don't know. I don't know if I failed,
mm.
but I have to do it, adjust it, then you'll be okay. Maybe it may take longer time, but we will get there eventually. This is my belief. And I also did it personally. Like I've been through that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide on a teaching business in particular?
Um, that's a good question because when I was little, I always want to do something like I want to have my own company. But then I feel like
Mm,
I don't have much talent. I couldn't run a coffee shop. Like I don't know even how to make food. I couldn't run a restaurant because you know how bad I cook, right? So no. So what should I do? Maybe I can do teaching. It's just like a maybe.
yeah,
And then it's like, okay, let's just do it. Maybe comparatively it's easier. I am not one hundred
yeah.
percent sure at that time because
Mm,
I major business. I don't major like education or teaching
mm.
programs. Oh, I just do it and figure out by myself. And yeah, that's how I start. It's not like a traditional pathway, but this is the idea.
You said
Mm,
that the advice you would give to a young entrepreneur would be to just take that first step, however
mm,
small, and then that they can
mm.
then adjust from there. Do you
Yeah,
remember what your first small step was?
contacting the agent, like help me to find a retail store, help me to find a store. Location is
Mm,
key, right? Because when I
yeah,
contact another person, okay, it's a bigger step now. Because actually, I'm
yeah.
looking for stores, right? And then I remember like she brought me to an area that I have no idea. Like I
Yeah.
haven't been there before. So I'm looking like, oh, there's lots of schools around. There's cool neighborhood. Maybe there's a chance. I just trust
Mm,
my observation and instinct. I feel like
mm,
this is good, right?
mm.
So yeah, that's the step that I do, and I follow it, and then I sign a contract a day after. Like it didn't take a week for me. Like I told you,
Wow.
I'm impatient. But then
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it can be a good thing because I'm so impatient that I can't wait to sign a contract. So I do it
Sure.
like the day after, so it's like a step further. Like you have the
Hmm.
contract now, like you signed it, right? And I even told my parents. I didn't even ask my parents. Sorry, I asked them when I signed it. After I signed it, I told them
Yeah.
the news. Yeah,
How did they react?
my father, he is so supportive. My mom's like, "You're crazy. You should ask for my advice first." I mean, like
Yeah.
that time she was traveling to Japan. I don't want to,
Mm.
test her, and I want to do something for myself. So so let's just do it.
And
Yeah,
how old were you when you
23.
signed this? 23.
23. I remember the age, because
Yeah.
22 is the age I find it so I lost. Like, I don't know what I
Mm,
want. So that's why I remember 23. Yeah,
yeah. How
23.
long was that first? How long was that lease? That first contract for your store?
3 years. Because I feel like
3 years.
that's a good question. Because normally people
That's
feel
a
maybe
big
even
commitment to make.
right, right, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So now you ask that, I feel like I was a little bit, I don't know what I was thinking, but I believe in myself that I can
Yeah.
do it. So I signed a 3-year contract because you know well, my mind that time is like I don't want the landlord to increase the rent.
Mm,
So I do it for 3 years, and when I think about like my business, I didn't think about like failure. I just think about, okay, I would do it. Like this is what I want to
mm,
do. So I signed it for 3 years. If I signed it for 1 year, it's like I can just quit, or maybe it's like maybe there's a backup plan. I didn't do it.
mm.
I just signed for 3 years.
No safety net.
No safety net. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. I don't know why
Yeah.
I kicked you out. In any case,
Yeah. No problem.
I
Perfect.
can the
Yeah.
power of editing. It'll be good. Um, I do this thing where I ask each guest to provide a question for the next guest without them knowing who it's going to be. So the one that I was asked last time was, if you were not doing this, if you were not doing what you're currently doing, what would it be? So if you weren't, you know,
Mm-hmm.
running a teaching business with
Mm-hmm.
both brick and mortar locations and an online platform and living on a separate continent with a 12
Well,
hour
I
time
actually think about
difference, what would you be doing?
I think because well, from what my friends told me, I like talking. I I'm good at selling. What they said that. So maybe I would do something like something
Mm,
selling mansion, or luxury houses. That would be
mm,
cool too. I don't mind it. But now I wouldn't do it because I 100% focus
yeah,
on my business. But if I hadn't started my business, probably I would do that. Yeah. But that's a good question.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. And as a last thing, what could you provide a question for the next guest?
Mm.
It can be banal, it can be simple, or it can be deep
Okay.
and philosophical.
So my question for
What?
them, because this is also the
Yeah.
question to myself too. I always ask myself these questions like, do you think your job will be, or your company will be replaced by AI? Like, can you guarantee like it will not, like your business or your what you do
Mm,
will not be replaced by AI? Because education already affecting it. So this will be the question
mm.
to the next guest.